Hello and a very warm welcome. Thanks for tuning in to your favorite news destination. You're watching In Your Interest with me, Kabir Naqvi, and on the show tonight, well, from the fog-shrouded streets of the West Midlands to the fevered rallies of London, we expose a chilling surge in hate-fueled violence that's left Indian origin families in the United Kingdom reeling. Well, the outrage is real, especially after two back-to-back sexual assaults on young women of Sikh heritage, brutal beatings of elderly taxi drivers, and a toxic tide of anti-immigrant fury that's spilling from online venom into real-world savagery. And as British-born perpetrators walk free on bail and far-right chants echo from Trafalgar Square to Twitter feeds, the question hangs heavy. Is this the new normal for minorities in a multicultural modern Britain, or a wake-up call before the intolerance boils over completely? Let's start with the harrowing headlines that have shattered the sense of security for so many in Walsall and Oldbury. On the 25th of October, a 32-year-old Indian origin woman was raped in a vicious attack in Walsall. The assault was so brazen and brutal that West Midlands police wasted no time classifying it as a racist crime, a racially aggravated attack. CCTV footage captured the suspect fleeing in a black puffer jacket, his face a mask of malice. A major breakthrough came swiftly when officers finally arrested him. That's good news, and it's the latest development. This wasn't a lone flash of fury. It echoes the 9 September nightmare just last month in nearby Oldbury, where another British-born Sikh woman in her 20s was ambushed, assaulted and subjected to a torrent of racist abuse by two men who saw her heritage as a target. Sikh groups like the Sikh Federation UK erupted in demands for swift justice and a crackdown on hate crimes. Their voices, amplified by a community now whispering warnings to daughters and sisters about walking alone, especially after dark. And the pain doesn't stop at these assaults. It's etched into the faces of two elderly Sikh taxi drivers who were savagely beaten outside Wolverhampton station on the 15th of August, our Independence Day. It was a race-fueled frenzy, leaving the two men with bruising injuries. These aren't random road rages. They were calculated cruelties, born of the same bigotry that's left the Sikh community in the United Kingdom on a knife's edge. Outrage swelled like a storm when the perpetrators, who are local British nationals and not the migrants they're so often scapegoated to be, were released on bail. The Oldbury rapists walking free within days despite the gravity of their charges, and the Wolverhampton assailants also being released, prompting cries of unprecedented concern from the community leaders. And this entire wave of violence isn't brewing in a vacuum. It's fed by a ferocious anti-immigration intolerance that's gripped modern day and age Britain in 2025, turning peaceful protests into powder kegs and online whispers into widespread wrath. Picture the scene in London last month. Tommy Robinson, the far-right firebrand, marshalling over 1 lakh protesters at the Unite the Kingdom rally. Their chants of "send them back home" drowning out the counter-demonstrators as Union Jacks waved like warning flags, leaving 26 police officers injured and 25 arrests in the chaos that spilled into the streets. Similar anti-asylum fury erupted nationwide, from Epping Forest's court-ordered sparking igniting "send them home" howls to tense standoffs right outside hotels in Bristol, in Leicester, in Newcastle, Liverpool, you name it. The outnumbered anti-racism voices struggled against a surge of xenophobic rhetoric that paints asylum seekers as invaders rather than humans. Reform UK's Nigel Farage stokes the flames with calls to deport 6 lakh migrants and strip citizenship from those legally settled. He is promising £234 billion in savings, which later crumbled under scrutiny, but still sows seeds of division deep in the electorate. And lurking beneath these marches is a digital deluge of toxic narratives, with anti-migrant posts exploding 90% year on year. There are over 3 lakh tracked instances in 2024 alone, peddling the dangerous dream of total remigration, which is a far-right fantasy of mass expulsion that normalizes the notion that brown faces don't belong here. It's this poisonous online brew that bleeds into the streets, fueling attacks not by boat crossing strangers, but by native born neighbors gripped by economic gripes and scapegoating. The big question, and mind you, we've got an esteemed set of panelists that's joining us on the broadcast today. The big question that we're trying to decode and ask: will UK political class admit that immigration blame fuels hate and not facts? And will the West Midlands police ramp up hate crime response against people of Indian origin? Let's decode it all. Ambassador Bhaswati Mukherjee, former Indian diplomat, with us on the broadcast. Surbhi Kumari, who's a working professional, joining us live from Birmingham in the United Kingdom. Many thanks for taking out the time, Ambassador and Surbhi. And of course, Dr. Amlendu Misra, Professor of International Politics, Lancaster University, joining us live from Lancaster, United Kingdom. Ambassador and Professor, do stay on with us. I'm going to quickly go across to Surbhi, who's a working professional, joining us live from Birmingham, to help us understand that there's a victim-survivor context here as well, and there's a lived experience for the viewers to better understand. Because Surbhi, I was speaking to you on the phone. You earlier mentioned that you faced a frightening moment yourself. I'm not going to divulge the details. Could you walk us through, if you feel safe enough, if it doesn't put you or your life in jeopardy at the moment, could you tell us what happened and how it made you feel about safety, especially about Indian origin women right now in the United Kingdom? You're in the West Midlands area yourself.
Hey Kabir, like I mentioned earlier, it's not really safe out here. Two back-to-back such heinous incidents. It's really so scary working out. Like, you go back from work, late evening, you're going back home. If there is a street that's empty, you see one single individual standing there, it scares the hell out of you because of these incidents. It's all because of what? All anti-immigrants protests. Is it really making sense though? Is it really the kind of civil society that we want to live in? Is it really the kind of inclusive environment that we really talk about in this country? It's not. They say we are a threat. Are we? It's the immigrants who are being threatened. It's the immigrants who are being attacked. As far as they are concerned about us taking the opportunities from them, are we really taking those opportunities away from them? We are not. Whatsoever their belief could be, they could be against the immigration, but is it really the way a civil society is supposed to act? I think it's the government who needs to think about it. Today it's the Indian origin women who are being attacked. Tomorrow it's going to be some other community who's going to be
That's
attacked.
That's a great point that you've raised, Surbhi. What kind of support or reassurance have you seen from the local authorities, especially given these back-to-back cases?
Honestly, it's all on the social media platform that they do not really support this. But is there a plan of action? I don't think so. To be very specific, I don't really think there is a plan of action. One of the leading political party MP recently stated on a public forum that it drives me crazy to see adverts that are full of people who are black and people who are Asian. It's kind of putting it in the heads of people who are Britishers that, sorry, you people are being dominated by all these immigrants. It's the kind of agenda that is being fed in their head.
You've been working there for a long time. You've been working there for a long time now. When you see the Union Jack being raised like a warning sign, what goes through your mind? Help us understand. Has this changed your day-to-day life, your sense of belonging in a place that you yourself would call home otherwise?
I wouldn't call this place my home right now. In this situation, definitely.
And I wouldn't blame you. I wouldn't blame you.
I would think of going back to my country where I'm feeling a lot more safer. I feel welcomed. I don't feel threatened just because I look a certain way. I am accepted the way I am. And I come from a country where people from different religion live together. So that is a place that we call as, that promotes inclusivity. Not the Great Britain.
I'm going to again say it right at the onset. Surbhi, many thanks for taking out the time, for being brave enough to share with us your ordeal as well, and for putting out, a nuanced perspective of exactly what one goes through. I mean, I know Birmingham myself is a student's hub, and after 6:30 p.m., the minute it's nightfall, the sun goes out, it's problematic, especially in the winter months. Ambassador, let me come to you. You heard what Surbhi had to say. When racially aggravated crimes, specifically targeting Indian origin women, how should India now diplomatically convey its concern to London? I'm sure we have, but without straining bilateral ties, because there's this constant balancing act. We've got a very great FTA. I mean, I think the greatest so far this year, Ambassador, in my limited opinion. But on the other hand, take a look at what's happening on the ground over there.
But first of all, I would tell Surbhi that she's a very brave person and she should stay there because she has the right to stay. She is a British citizen. If if people like Survi leave UK and come to India, these fascists and neo-fascists and racists will have won the game. It is very important to hang on. These scenes remind me of how Germany became, in the Weimar Republic, became fascist and how Hitler rose. And nobody should know that better than the Brits, because they are the ones who first tried to make an agreement with Hitler and then understood when World War II started. So I think that we have to handle this upfront, Kabir. The FTA has nothing to do with it. We are a major economy, the world's fastest growing economy. We've done the Brits a favor by doing an FTA with them. Their economy was in doldrums after Brexit. Our community is hardworking, has contributed to British prosperity.
Absolutely, Ambassador.
Britain as their home, as they should, because they are British passport holders. They deserve the same protection as any white person deserves if that person is legally British. So have the Brits forgotten that they won World War I because of the British Indian Army? They won World War II because of the British Indian Army. When their empire fell, they collapsed like a collapsed balloon. It was the British, the Indians who went to Britain and helped them in their prosperity. I think that what is happening there is so bad that it needs the highest level intervention on our side, preferably at the level of foreign minister. We need to take this up. We need to insist that they make a plan of action, because Subi said there's no plan of action, to protect British nationals. These are your nationals. These are not our nationals. They are people of Indian origin, but they are your nationals. They deserve your protection. We held your empire together. We helped your prosperity. They can't abandon their people of Indian origin. So I'm sure we'll take it up very strongly. And I'm sure that High Commission has already lodged a very serious and high level complaint, because this is atrocious. And then to selective rape, Kabir, is
Ambassador, one small, movie industry filmmaking house, Yashraj Films, Keir Starmer was in Mumbai just a couple of days back. He met the owners of Yashraj Films. There's a major boost to the UK economy that's going to come just because Yashraj Film is now going to be making movies in the United Kingdom. So many lakhs of jobs, and this is how the people over there are being repaid for that. And the problem is the lackadaisical attitude of the police, because everybody is being let off on bail. Also with us on the broadcast is Fagun Modi. I'm going to come back to you, Ambassador, who's a legal professional. She's joining us live from London. Many thanks for taking out the time, Fagun. In both these cases, Fagun, suspects have been released on bail despite the severity of the charges, and you know how we've all been reading those headlines. How does the United Kingdom justice system justify these decisions? I mean, letting them off on bail. Today, they've caught that 32-year-old white male man, but what happens 2 days, 24, 48 hours from now, we don't know. And if pattern is going to be followed, then one can easily assume that he's going to be left off the hooks.
In my opinion, this needs to, the police framework needs to be changed and should be based upon how police and CPS works. The people living in England probably and working closely with court system and police, which I do, we know. The CPS has got more authority to charge or not to charge, guilty, not guilty. That is later on in the court. Now, to start with this bail, because I think police has got, like, at the moment, if I'm not wrong, there is, only certain hours that they can keep accused in the custody, and then the further, the increase hours, if needed, they need to be granted by sergeant or the request or something like that. And then the CPS makes the decision, meanwhile, to charge, not to charge. But I think where we are the moment to change in that framework and look for the severity and the danger to the people out there in open.
Isn't that appalling? I think there's a room for improvement there. That's how you're going to
police.
put it, Fagun. I mean, let me tell you. I mean,
danger assessment,
sitting here, we feel that the bail decisions, the investigations have been too lenient, or in some cases too delayed.
Yes, the delay is actually, we all know, with police and the court system. Yes, huge delays, and I think the backlog is severe, and hence there are trials actually, not just this. If I talk a little bit broadly, the trials, the West Yorkshire trials, if you know, ma'am, and those outstanding trials of the gangs actually operates, and that's been, and the Priti Patel made a statement, I think, a few years back, to tackle with those, and police need to be, more, the court system needs to be more active dealing with those long-standing cases. So yes, there is definitely shortage of skilled people, skilled workers, and so on. The funding.
I've seen it personally. I've seen it myself. I know that the immigrants are pretty much the tertiary backbone of the United Kingdom. The entire NHS and the national health system relies on these immigrants as well. There's massive amounts of talent. I've seen it myself. And many of them are stuck there, can't even come back home. Those are different kind of ordeals. Let me bring in Dr. Amlendu Misra here, Professor of International Politics at the Lancaster University. Dr. Misra, 2 Indian origin women, when attacked within a short span, this is within weeks, do these cases reflect random acts of violence? There is deeper socio-political fracture in modern day and age Britain. I'm again asking that question again here. Doctor, these Union Jacks are flying up like warning signs.
Well, currently Britain is deeply divided.
Yeah.
And this has been growing, especially after the killings that took place by Hamas in Israel some 2 years back. So we are regularly seeing the society veering towards, let's say, for example.
Yeah, you're talking about anti-Semitism. Doctor, I'm sorry to cut you short here. Maccabi Tel Aviv is supposed to play their game against Aston Villa, which is again a club that's placed and staged in Birmingham. Just a couple of days back, there was a clear-cut order that Maccabi Tel Aviv fans are not allowed to come for their away match to Aston Villa. We all know how football is loved and revered in the United Kingdom. And then Keir Starmer comes out and says that's absolutely wrong. Let's not happen. Basically, the entire ground is a hot melting point where people can't really understand or keep their sentiments in place. My apologies for cutting you short. I thought the viewers should know that there's another football match, and again, over there as well, anti-Semitism and intolerance is breeding on the ground.
Well, that's precisely the case, because I don't want to see this in isolation, but the society is falling apart in so many different ways. And what we're talking about this topic, we have talked about the justice system, the criminal justice system.
Yep.
And can you imagine that someone who was sort of arrested on charges of sexual assault on an underage girl was released, and there was a manhunt that took almost 24 hours to nab the person. So there is a psychosis, there is here psychosis on part of a specific segment of British people, that it is the asylum seekers, it is the hooligans from outside, perhaps the immigrants, who are responsible for creating the chaos that is happening in the society. And we have already talked about the free trade agreement. The economy is not doing that well, and when that happens, you have all sorts of people who sort of ride the bandwagon of finding the weakest link. That happened in Nazi Germany, isolating the Jews and the Holocaust and all the rest of it. So I won't go that far as to say that the Indian community or the British Asian community is going down that particular path. But there is a kind of palpable anger on part of the British community. And this has been compounded by the very fact that we have these grooming gangs in East Yorkshire and elsewhere,
right,
who have been responsible for sort of fomenting that kind of frustration on part of the, let's say, for example, working class white population. So if we have these unfortunate incidences, horrific sexual violence against 2 Sikh women, perhaps that was a kind of soft target. Indians have always been the soft target, whether in United Kingdom or United States or wherever they are, in Australia as well. So I think we see the manifestation of that. So it is kind of projected.
How much of this rising
against-
hostility, Doctor? How much of this rising hostility, Doctor, is linked to the resurgence of the right-wing politics? We've seen Unite the Kingdom rally. We see what Reform UK does, essentially, what it tried to do in the recently held UK polls also in 2024. How much of this is linked to the resurgence of the right-wing politics?
Well, the right-wing politics and the violence that we are witnessing cannot be seen in isolation.
Yeah.
In fact, the Reform Party has been talking about closing down all the doors, saying that even if we talk about the NHS that is being run by mostly non-white personnel, can still run without them. And he's sort of giving statistics. And Reform has got a very good portal in terms of putting kind of Asian face to sort of be the voice for the working class white population. So the radical right in this country is also fomenting the tension that we have seen, and the social media where you have these 30-second, 1-minute TikTok messages sort of targeting migrants or sort of highlighting the culprits if they happen to be the non-whites, sort of fuels that specific anger. And as I said, the system is lacking in many ways. And we see that in terms of the prison services releasing someone by mistake, and then the whole country sort of being on overdrive, wanting to find out where this culprit is. So that kind of demonstrates the situation on the ground here.
All right, all right. So these can't be seen as isolated events. There's clearly a lacuna and lack of, administrative reassurance, and there seems to be a major problem at play over here. I'm going to quickly go around the table asking one more set of questions. Surbhi, firstly, Dr. Misra said that Indians are usually soft targets. Now, how true is that? I'm sure you have your colleagues and friends as well, Indian origin friends, immigrant friends over there. What is going through your mind? Let's say you're heading out for a little evening escapade with your friends, and on your way back, you have to cross this dark, dingy alley. What happens at that particular point in time? Do you have security measures in front of you? Or do you feel hopeful when you see a cop car go by, or do you think that that's not really going to do any good?
I don't really think it's helpful, to be honest. You don't really get any sort of help. Not everybody gets involved in your problems. Your problem is your problem to deal with. By the time, when such, incidents happen, how much time do you really have to ask for help? And if the street is like, I can't really see anybody, and it's dark, which usually now will be after 3:30 or 4:30 in the evening during winters. If I don't see anybody there who's really going to help me out, will I really be in a situation to call for help? The answer is no. So it's more about how the system is going to put a plan of action in place to ensure that such incidents are not repeated. Such incidents are not in the first place, accepted. If we are very lenient about these incidents, it's going to happen because they will perceive it as their way of showing disapproval and doing such heinous acts. But this
is really concerning. So what you've just mentioned is absolutely concerning. We've got the Epping's verdict. We saw what happened in Southampton. I just mentioned what the Maccabi Tel Aviv example in front of us. Ambassador, the Indian High Commission or the diaspora offices, can they take more serious cognizance in this matter? Surbhi here says, उस समय और करा भी क्या जा सकता है? There is nobody around. Who do you call for help? Is everybody well versed with the kind of emergency numbers that are there? So do you think we can do for our Indians, for our countrymen, can we do a little bit more? Can we do better in terms of diaspora offices?
First of all, Kabir, you have to understand that British passport holders must be first protected by the British state.
Yep, yeah, absolutely.
There's a limit to what the High Commission can do. Because we are in a foreign country, we will definitely do our best. But the most important thing is for us to make the Brits understand that if they want to bring things under control, they can. If they want to improve their laws regarding locking up rape suspects, as we have done after Nirbhaya, they can do it. After all, Kabir, let's not forget, 10,000 Brits colonized a nation of 1.4 billion people for 188 years. they can't be that incompetent, right? They are extremely competent when they want to be.
Yep.
Otherwise, how the hell did we get colonized? With 10,000 Brits, at any point of time, I'm a student of history, I'm telling you. So if they want to bring the situation under control, they can. If they are not bringing the situation under control, they are playing with fire. Because at a certain point, when the Indian origin citizens decide to take the law into their own hands, there will be civil war in UK. And as far as their National Health Service is concerned, it will collapse.
Yep.
And if the doctors decide to move to Australia or to Canada or somewhere else, and they move out in large numbers, their NHS will collapse. And what is Britain in any case now, Kabir? It's a mediocre, middle-level country whose GDP is much, much lower than the country they colonized. Who cares for them? Nobody cares for them. They better put their house in order.
Pertinent points.
They are obliged to do so. Under their own laws, they are obliged to do so. And definitely we will pressure them for this. It is horrifying to see these schemes which they are putting out for us. I feel really, really upset. And I really salute the courage of all my former compatriots, now British citizens,
All right.
who had to stay on them.
I hope this word really goes far and beyond, Ambassador. Those are some pertinent points that you've raised over there. I've completely run out of time here. Fagun, I'm going to come to you very quickly if you could help us understand. I know I'm putting you in a spot here as well, but let's see how hate crimes are treated with the justice system over there. In your view, does the anti-immigrant political climate subtly influence the justice system as well?
Well, I'm not 100% sure that is the case, but at the moment, what's going on, that is, I think, aggravated situation, and just relating to this incident, which was purely racial because of the comments has been made. I think there's a connection, the empowerment that that wrong people are getting, and the message that's been interpreted wrongly. That is the issue.
Okay.
How you interpret it.
All right. Bottom line is there is a problem. It needs more serious cognizance. They have apprehended the man who committed this grievous crime as well. But like Fagun was telling us, how long will they be able to hold that person behind bars? That's another question altogether. And that's where the community needs to come together. I think like Ambassador pointed out, we need to stick it out and fight it out there, because if we come back, then they've won the battle in any case. And it's easier said than done, but kudos to you, Surbi, and like-minded people over there, and more Indian origin people over there, all blessings to them. Let's hope that they're able to put their voice across as well. I've completely run out of time here, but it has been a riveting discussion. Many thanks, Dr. Misra, Ambassador Mukherjee, Surbi, and Fagun for joining us here on In Your Interest. I hope this sort of tingled your conscience just a little bit with what we've been seeing in the United Kingdom. All of this cannot be looked at in isolation. That Union Jack, it can fly high, we can all respect it, but it shouldn't be a warning sign, especially for people who are carrying your tertiary sector on their backs. That's all the time for you in Your Interest. Many thanks for watching. Top developments right on the other side.
खेलता है, झूलता उछलता है, दौड़ता कभी कभी दौड़ कराता है, आगे आगे बढ़ता है इंडिया, अमूल दूध पीता है इंडिया।
विक्रम चाहे जितना भी फड़फड़ा ले, ढूंढ नहीं पाएगा।
प्रिया, कैसा लगा मेरा स्टंट?
एक हिंट तो देते। हिंट
बड़े आराम से।
लास्ट टाइम कश्मीर गई थी ना, वहाँ खाया शहद, पर उसके लिए कश्मीर जाना पड़ेगा। अरे कश्मीर क्यों जाना, कश्मीर ही यहाँ आ गया।
सुंदर वादियों में महकती खुशबू और रंग बिरंगे फूल, इनमें से शहद निकाल कर जमा किया जाता है असली शहद, लायन कश्मीर हनी।
असली शहद, असली स्वाद।
That goat is long dead, but Cyrus Bhai are still alive. Game show. This is God's office calling. You're not a VIP, so God won't speak directly, but here's the deal. You have been granted a second chance with a brand new news show.
Thank you very much. Just one thing. You said 2 lives, 2 more lives. So I'll first be a newsman who wins awards, and second I'll be
Cockroach.
better make this show last. No hurry to, be a cockroach. Let's stay here for a little while. Don't want to be a cockroach. Apparently, they have lots of issues, like being stamped upon. Which is the same thing as a newsman. I mean, they're not that different.
This is India's #1 news network, and you're watching News 9. English news as it should be.
But just a short while ago, the poll body has come out with the dates, with the big special intensive revision announcement. Let's take you through it all. The Election Commission has launched Phase 2 of the Pan-India Special Intensive Revision SIR across 12 states and union territories. At least that's going to be part of Phase 2. ECI claims that the nationwide exercise is aimed at ensuring a cleaner, a more accurate electoral list ahead of the upcoming elections. 12 states and union territories, inclusive of Uttar Pradesh, West Bengal, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Goa, Puducherry, Andaman and Nicobar Islands and Lakshadweep are going to be part of this Phase 2 of SIR. And let's tell you all about it. The pre-enumeration process, it begins tonight at midnight. That's the first step, with the voter lists in these states frozen from the 27th of October on. And within the next 2 days, election officials will be meeting political parties to brief them on the process. The Election Commission has stressed that no eligible voter should be left out, nor should any ineligible name be part of the existing rolls. Importantly, no documents are needed if the voter has an enumeration form. Urban and migrant voters will now have the